Good evening. Welcome to another episode of Slide at Night. I'm Colin, Slidegeist, here with my special guests, and really not special guests anymore. Like, you guys are pretty much a staple of the show, but my buddy KC, aka Kitosu, on Twitch, and my buddy Seth, aka Semmelweiser. Wait, Semmelweiser in game. Teach my Teddy on Twitch. How are you guys doing today?
Good.
Doing well.
Cool.
Ready to do some gambits.
Hell yeah. Snake Man dance.
Yeah.
I don't know, you guys, I fell asleep like crazy hard tonight. Like, I ate dinner in bed and just passed out for like 2 hours. It's like
kind of sounds great.
Kind of the dream, but also a little jarring to come back from. So if I'm a little out of it, I'm gonna just blame that and nothing else.
Okay.
Cool. I think that we have everybody who's gonna be on the show tonight. Are you guys all set on your gambit bounties and the like?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah. Cool. Well, let's go to orbit. All right, so we're going to try a little bit different format tonight. We're going to start out with the random questions because it sounds like folks like that. And then close to the end of the show, we will start on our main topic. But I'm going to tell you what the main topic is now, just so you have a little bit of time to think about it. And basically, the question that came up today was, is there such a thing as a good person? You personally, if you do think there is such a thing as good people, how do you define that? And I think it's, it's a very squishy concept, just like anything like that, but I am interested to hear what you guys think about it. But before we get to that, let's go ahead and just warm up with some random questions. All right, Casey, first one's for you. What's your favorite combination of food that might be considered like weird or off-putting to some people?
Probably pineapple pizza.
Oh, pineapple pizza. It's classic. It's a classic
People
one.
hate that. It's illegal in Cyberpunk.
Yeah, the people who hate it are wrong.
I hate it, but I respect your right to enjoy bad things. Certainly.
But do you like it on like other things, like in like stir fry or something like that? Is it just the fact that it's hot pineapple that's wrong?
It's
or
the
is
hot
fact that
part.
It's on pizza.
I like pineapple. I think I would like pineapple like cold on pizza. I could definitely see enjoying that. I just like after
it makes a great breakfast pizza. It's like the best leftover pizza.
That makes sense. Yeah, I could see eating it like cold like that, like just as leftovers. Part of it to me, like the pineapple loses some like inherent fruitiness when you cook it. I don't know why that is. It just grosses me out to think of like cooked pineapple. And it kind of makes it more sweet, maybe? I don't know.
Definitely changes the sugars. So yeah, it does definitely affect it a little. But like cooked fruits are a thing.
It's true.
Upside down cake.
Delicious thing.
That's normally eaten at room temperature though, not
That's
hot.
true. That's true. Yeah, that's really interesting.
But like pineapple is a thing in like stir fries and fried rice and stuff like that.
Hell yeah, pineapple fried rice.
Yeah, I like it there. I've definitely had that before.
I think it's just a mental block then.
I think you're probably right. Just try eating more.
Everybody tells you that it's bad and you just go along with it.
Maybe you're right. Maybe I've been brainwashed by big meat pizza. Big meat pizza.
Pizza roll lobby.
Hey now, I support them wholeheartedly. All right, Seth, question for you. What is a social stigma that you think people just need to get over?
Oh, that's great. Maybe like going too heavy with it, but I think talking about mental health issues probably is a social stigma that people need to get over.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it's just the kind of thing that I think benefits from people talking about it, just from the awareness front, but also from the kind of solidarity front.
Right. That absolutely. And I think that a thing that we're learning, and you probably, I mean, you definitely know this better than anybody, but it just because of your previous like career, but is that like way more people have some kind of mental health like struggle or issue or something they're facing than, I don't know, than like you would think maybe, and maybe that's just cultural.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, everyone, you know, even if not like a diagnosable illness per se, just struggling with feelings of depression or anxiety, and it just becomes so taboo to talk about it. Obviously, there's a component of toxic masculinity because it's probably more of a problem with men and this idea of being weak if you're talking about it, but for women as well. And women face a different sort of stigma with it in that it is about dramatics or hysterics or things like that, which is equally unfair, obviously.
And like equally patriarchal and shitty.
100%. Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, that's all rooted in control. So.
Exactly, yeah. You like disempower people from having agency.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm doing so bad at this right now.
Oh, that's just the Gambit way.
One thing that I've like been thinking about a lot lately that I'm interested in you guys' perspective on is like evolutionarily, right? Like things probably served a purpose for a specific social structure at some point. That doesn't mean they're good or right or anything like that. But I sometimes wonder, like, what on earth would, like the mental health taboo, for example, like how would that serve somebody? But I guess like I hadn't really thought about the fact that absolutely it was a social structure thing, probably first and foremost. That makes a lot of sense.
I just got killed by someone. But yeah. I don't know. I don't really know, I guess. I can't think of specifically why it came about, other than the fact that it's an uncomfortable thing, and humans do a lot to try to not make themselves feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, and I think like maybe, you know, like in previous parts of human history where like the ideal person was like strong and didn't think twice and, you know, was out, I don't know, like maybe we just developed a really terrible relationship with it, and like drew a bunch of awful conclusions, not rooted in actual medical science.
I mean, it's something that would have been very easy to use as a control mechanism too.
Sure.
Like for anybody that wanted to. If it was something you couldn't explain, it would be very easy to like manipulate into and incorporate into like various power structures and things like that.
That makes a lot of sense, yeah.
Like, no, it's hard to, anything humans do is hard to put into a like biological,
yeah,
evolutionary thing, because
right,
we're kind of past that.
Yeah, and I think that we're
for like a long time, but like,
yeah, and like maybe we're too close to see it is another, like, I think that, I mean, a lot of like racist history is tied up in like pseudoscience evolution, right? Like,
yeah,
So I think you have to be pretty careful about like any conclusions you draw about your own species, that kind of thing. But yeah, that's really interesting, and I appreciate the insight. Casey, what is something that you resent paying for or having paid for? I mean, it could be anything, right? Like,
good internet.
yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Like, I'm okay paying for it, but like, it shouldn't be anywhere near what it is.
Yeah.
And it should also be not like a profitable business.
Yeah, it should be a utility. 100% agreed.
But yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Definitely that.
I think like Stadia is a thing that made me think about that a lot more, actually, because like I was lucky enough to get a situation where I don't have to think about data caps currently. But as I'm like trying to convince people to come play with me on Stadia, like a thing I wasn't considering was that if you want to play in 4K, you know, and you want to play like a lot, that adds up super quickly.
Yeah.
And like, granted, they try to make the argument that like, oh, well, you can upgrade for just $15 more, but like, that isn't in line with global practices. Like, even in other commercial environments for internet, that's not how it's generally done. So, kind of a uniquely can you watch over and over again without ever getting tired of it? Like, I'm sure there are a lot of them, but top 3 is fine, you know.
There's like all the classics, obviously, Star Wars and all that I've seen so many times. I'm trying to think of like a unique movie that maybe isn't as widely watched. I can just watch over and over and over. I love Jurassic Park. I mean, I can watch that over and over.
It's classic, man.
It's a classic.
Clever girl.
Truman Show. I really like The Truman Show. I've watched that many, many times.
I have never watched that movie, but it's been on my list forever.
You've never seen The Truman Show? Oh,
I have never seen The Truman Show.
Wow, it's funny to watch now. Like, you have to remember that it was made in a different era. Pre
Oh yeah.
A lot of reality TV.
That's fair.
Children of Men is a movie that I can watch over and over.
Oh yeah.
It's relatively like heavy, though, but I love it.
That's the one where like people are mostly sterile, right? And like, yeah, I think I remember seeing that movie at some point.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
That's cool.
Oh, Thor Ragnarok is a movie I think Jess and I have probably watched like 10 times in the past year because it's just so good.
Yeah, I do. I feel like Thor Ragnarok is going to be kind of remembered as not a defining movie, but like a movie that is a good example of like the late 2010s.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just like our obsession with like 80s like aesthetics and like inclusivity becoming more of a thing in mainstream movies, and it like doesn't have to be accused of like pandering for it. Like it's just normalizing a new like way of casting and that sort of thing.
Superhero, it's like really into sort of absurd humor, which
Yeah.
I think has really been going strong for the past 5-10 years.
That's a great point. I wonder, like, why do you think that type of humor got so big? Well, just watch me lose my motes here.
Like which type? Sorry, I was trying to pay attention, but I was killing something.
Like absurdist humor, because I remember like when we were in high school, like in the aughts, I feel like humor was more like, isn't it like so ironic, and now it's just like weird.
Yeah, like Jess shouted out from the other room, "Oh, the devil's anus," and he's like, "Oh, I didn't know it was called that when I chose it." Like just random
Yes.
little funny quips and not really, yeah, nothing ironic. They're never that smart necessarily either. It's just random
Yeah.
funny.
I wonder why. Do you think we all just got sick of like being up our own butts all the time?
It could be. I mean, I enjoy, highbrow, sophisticated humor, but it's also
definitely.
fun to just laugh at like absurdity. I mean,
Yeah. And I wonder
Monty
too.
Python. Oh, sorry, go on.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I wonder too if like, just like I feel like the world has been a little nuts the past decade. Like you always feel like that, of course, but maybe a little more so than I felt that before, and maybe it's just a reflection of our like surrender to that.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know.
No, I would agree because it's easy. Like it's not easy to make the jokes work, but it's easy as the viewer to just laugh.
Yes.
Because you don't have to put a lot of thought into it. It just kind of clicks and it's funny.
Absolutely.
And when it's done well, it ages really well too.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
look at Futurama. Like all of Futurama
Oh,
is
man.
absurd.
That's a great point.
Yes, that is a
And
great
it's
point.
all still funny.
Yes.
Talk about something able to watch over and over again. I can throw on like any episode of Futurama and still laugh
Yes.
my ass off, even though I've
Yep.
seen it like 20 times.
Even though after the first line, you know everything that's going to happen in the entire
Yeah,
episode.
like, it's
Yeah.
just funny.
Absolutely. I'll take 2 kills. That's fine. Pretty sure we're still gonna lose, but it's fine. Oh, here's a question that has come up in the generator a couple times, and I just did other stuff, but so like 100 years from now, what is like a type of thing that you think like we think of as like pretty normal, but like will be seen as a valuable like antique? You know what I mean?
That's a good question.
Oh, sorry, and yeah, this one's for Casey
Yeah, yeah.
to start anyway.
Gas-powered cars.
Oh
That's
yeah,
wishful thinking. I mean, in 100 years, probably.
yeah.
But
Wait, what'd you say?
gas-powered cars.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, what was it? GM recently announced they're getting rid of like petrol-powered cars in 2045 or 2050 or something.
Something like that.
It's just pretty crazy.
I mean, that's what they're saying now.
Yeah, that's fair.
They also could have been way ahead of this whole thing because they had one that everybody wanted in like the 80s. And then as soon as the regulations went away that said they were going to need to in California, they recalled all of them and just crushed them.
Really?
And would not sell them anymore. Yeah.
I have never heard about
way
this.
ahead on this whole thing.
There's a great documentary about it.
Look up the EV1.
EV1. Okay.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And this like scary thing is they'd already paid for all of the like engineering and development.
Yeah, like if you can get positioned and have the right type of enemy, like just the ones you can just chew up.
Yeah.
But it's definitely difficult. Well, we got a couple rounds in here, so.
How many motes does it take for a large blocker?
15.
15?
Yeah, so it's fives. It's 5, 10, 15.
All right, because I've already got a small and a medium, and I need to send a large at some point.
Yeah, same. So we got a couple rounds in. I think we'll kind of switch over towards our main topic for the evening, which is just like, I want to discuss like what does a good person look like? Like, you know, like personally, I struggle with the idea of like individuals being good or bad, period. Like I think that is maybe not an accurate like statement. I think most people are capable of doing really good or doing really terrible things. But that said, it's a term that we use a lot, right? Like we'll say like, oh yeah, so and so is a really good person, and we use it to mean a lot of different things. So I'm interested to hear what you guys think about just that like term, and also if you think it has any like, is it useful, I guess. So we'll go ahead and start with you, Seth.
Oh man, this is something I've thought a lot about over the past like year. Actually, it's where when we were having a conversation about idealization, I my mind ended up going, but it was long after we had finished.
Yeah.
Because I think this is an arena where idealization, we've really like had to reconcile how much we idealize people and how problematic that's become as we learn more about basically every single human being's legacy. And it falls into, you know, are there good people? And my personal shift towards like not referencing people necessarily as good or bad, but the actions that they take as being good or bad.
Yes.
So, do I think good people and bad people exist? I do, but I think you just need to shift your understanding of that to being kind of the net cumulative impact that somebody has on those around them in the world.
Yeah.
I don't think I want to live in a space where you can't say that there's like good or bad people.
Right.
It seems almost like nihilism to me, and I don't like that, but making sure that you reference that people's actions can be good or bad, and that good people do bad things and bad people do good things.
Yeah, and like, how do we, like, part of the job of society, right, is incentivizing people to do good things. That's why a part of me, like, I don't know, people talk about cancel culture, and I really hate that term a lot. I get it, because I do think that there are times where, like, social media communities can be a little reactive. But at the same time, it's like, well, this is trying, and maybe not doing it perfectly, but trying to provide a function that in my mind is not adequately being provided, and that is to like lay out what do good and bad actions look like for a postmodern society, right? Like, where we're not just relying completely on the primary faiths to guide our like understanding of what is healthy. What about you, Casey? What do you think?
Just a second.
No problem.
I have 15 motes and I need to get them back to the
Oh,
thing.
nice. Oops. Are we being invaded? No, we're not. Okay.
Alright. Yeah. I don't like the black and white of it.
Yeah.
Like, I agree completely with what Seth said. It's definitely a thing that you have to think about, but
Right.
it's something that everybody has the capability for both. And
Yes.
it's about trying to do the most good that you can.
Absolutely.
And that's going to be slightly different for everyone in every situation.
Yeah, that's a great point. Like, no one starts like life does not grant anybody the same resources, either physically or emotionally, psychologically, when they start. And like, sometimes people have to be allowed to do well enough, right?
Yeah, and I think intention has a lot to do with it too, because like, I don't know, I don't think there are very many people who tend to do what they believe is wrong.
Right. I agree with that.
I'm sure there are people who do just for like entropy's sake, but
but also
that's
like
not most people in any way.
Yeah. I also going back to like mental health, right? Like, I think there's pretty good evidence, at least in my mind, and Seth, maybe you can speak to this too, but that like when people are actively doing things that either like hurt people to benefit themselves, or that hurt everyone including themselves and benefit no one, like, in my mind, that is usually a failure of like healthcare, or of the people who are supposed to be responsible for like providing guidance to people, right? Like, I don't think people just do horrible shit for the fun of it, and that doesn't mean they're not responsible for their actions, but like if we can change how we think about it, we might be able to help people not do that stuff.
Yeah, I absolutely agree, and I think that's, you know, part of what you get with viewing things as more of like, or people independent of being good or bad, and instead their actions being that, is it kind of forces you to appreciate what leads to people. Sorry, as I'm trying to take this thing out and not die.
It's all good. I'm trying as well.
And that's fine.
What's an envoy? How do I kill them?
They're in the final round after we summon the primeval. They're
Okay.
like those things you kill to get more stacks.
So we have to do like better before we
Yeah.
can kill those.
But yeah, like the gist of what you were saying, at least from what I'm taking, is like people don't, you know, they're not born in this vacuum of like, oh, I'm going to be bad and I'm going to do, you know, what we have determined are bad things. I guess within the realm of psychology, you know, there's a personality disorder in particular where you might argue that people, their brain chemistry is literally just wired for them to not care about other people, and that causes them to cause all kinds of problems. But for the most part, like everything that somebody is doing, they learned from someone or
Yes.
something, or a lack of something, and just trying to kind of appreciate that and not, you know, use it as an excuse. And I always see people lean on this idea of like, oh, well, you know, I had this happen to me and I didn't do this bad thing, and so therefore
Yeah.
they could have made that choice neither. But even that's like then really disrespectful of the direction we're moving, of like appreciating that the same situation applied to two different people leads to two different results, right?
Yes.
Like it's like intellectually dishonest to think that people are making these bad choices because they're just bad people inherently, and not because there's some sort of societal pressure or social
Yes.
pressure or whatever that maybe is contributing to them doing it.
Like
Yeah,
the way
definitely.
that I've been thinking about it is like when something bad happens, I think it's important for us all to feel a little bad about it. Like not that we're responsible for other individuals' actions, but that like we are all responsible for the culture we create, and that's why like the way we talk matters. And I've had discussions with people, right, about how like, well, nothing's funny anymore. Like people said that same thing about like super crazy racist jokes like 50 years ago. Like that's a good thing, you know, that
Yeah.
humor is moving in a way that is like less abusive to people.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. That's how we get better.
Yes. Yeah, I completely agree. Casey, I want to go back to something that you said, which was intention matters. Because I do agree with you. I think that intention is really important, but also it's like a tough line to walk, right? Like, because people use that sometimes as like, well, I meant good, and to me that's got to be like the baseline, right? Like I hope that you meant good.
That's completely fair.
but you can't ignore it either. Like I don't know, it's very difficult.
Yeah, I don't think it really works for something that's like actively bad,
Sure.
but like for something that's like, I don't know, I'm not sure how to like put it into words.
Are you kind of talking
I'm
about like
thinking.
giving people the benefit of the doubt, like when you can?
Yeah, definitely.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
And,
that's
like-
awesome.
Yeah. Like, don't assume malice,
Yes.
because
And-
it's usually not the case, usually. But,
And like I know for me, like
and even when it is, it usually stems from not understanding something.
yes, like it's usually not actually I don't know. Like when we're talking like little interpersonal stuff, I guess is where I think this is super applicable. And it's a place where I've been trying to grow, like in my life is just because of my like personal internal dialogue, like I tend to jump to the worst case conclusions if I think somebody's upset with me, or you know, like sometimes I see like slights that aren't there at all. I'm just trying to like keep it in my mind that for the most part people aren't like trying to be shitty, and also like I'm probably doing things that are making other people question if I'm trying to be shitty, you know, like everything's so complex.
I think one thing that I really like about what you said initially, Casey, and then you carried on with Colin as well, is the idea of like giving people the benefit of the doubt. And sometimes it seems so ridiculous to us of like, you know, okay, here's someone that we don't know who did something that just seems objectively terrible, and like, should we give them the benefit of the doubt? Like, oh, they have this history that was a contributing factor. That seems like it's something really hard for us to do, but I guarantee you we all already do that all the time with people that we care about, right?
Yeah.
Like if my mom does something horrible and is in, let's say, texting while driving in an accident, my likelihood to be able to rationalize that to sort of excuse the behavior is kind of where my mind goes naturally, because I love and care about my mom. So we have the ability to do that already. It's not that outlandish of a thing. We just need to be better at practicing that benefit of the doubt and that sort of compassionate consideration to people that we aren't as connected to.
Yeah, absolutely. Like our empathy nets tend to be pretty like close knit, and I do feel like maybe I just want to put like a disclaimer here, because I'm talking as a privileged person, right? Like what I'm talking about here is mostly like interpersonal relationships. There are big systemic problems and abuses that allow people with privilege to get away with really shitty stuff for their own gratification, and I want to be clear that like that's not what we're talking about, right? Like people like to use this train of thought, I think, sometimes to excuse abusers, and in my mind we're having totally separate conversations.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a dangerous conversation and like an uncomfortable one, because, and I think it's nuanced in like separating talking about something as like an etiology of a problem and kind of trying to remove the morality from it, because that from that perspective of like people who abuse and use that as an excuse, common medical factoid, people who abuse are people who were abused, for the most part. And so even there might be something that's contributing. And it, again, you like your disclaimer was perfect, because people use it as an excuse and they shouldn't. But at the same time, you do need to think, even in those terrible situations, about what might be contributing to the behavior.
Yeah, it's a factor. Yes. That's a great point.
But it's super uncomfortable, and it's not a conversation that can happen obviously on like social media, like you're saying, because
Yes.
I don't know. Cancel culture is an interesting topic, and I think related. I like what you're saying. If it being like something that I agree with, like consequences should absolutely happen to the people who do these things. They probably should be canceled to take a break. But there's a heavy cost that we need to think about with being very quick to cancel people.
For sure. And I guess when I say that, like, I want to clarify that, like, I don't know. It's so difficult because I don't ever want to empower someone who, even if their actions are related to something that happened to them, or even just like the systemic incentivization for people to like embrace their power and privilege, and I don't know, I'm just rambling at this point. Like, again, I feel like the reason cancel culture exists currently at the the reason that the backlash on social media exists currently in the way it is because societal like protection structures, to my perception is that they have failed a lot of people for a long time, and social media affords people a little bit of power and agency that they may not have had, you know, in order to like have themselves be heard. So
yeah, for sure.
It's hard though.
Yeah, and I guess moving away from like the buzzwordy, you know, I'm comfortable talking about myself in the sense of like I right now I'm not gonna use the term good person. Like I'm an average person. I try to do right by most people and care about people and not do cruel things that hurt others, but inevitably I do, as do we all. Like I like the saying that I've heard many other people say that I'll co-opt of, you are always the villain in someone else's story.
Yeah.
And I know that probably holds true for me as well. But I think about where I am now and, you know, the potential to do the things that I'm really excited about doing, and I look back to when I was, you know, 20 years old playing World of Warcraft, or like late high school, and, you know, the language that I occasionally used in referencing people. And I will say, definitely, I was never someone to use racially insensitive language or anything like that. That's not how I grew up. But, you know, using the F word to describe someone of the LGBTQA, because that's just kind of gamer lingo, or using the R word for someone who's intellectually disabled, for, you know, and those were things that I did all the time, right? And I benefit from being in a time where I don't think that was captured at all. But someone, I guess even by talking about it here, could absolutely pull that up and say, oh, Seth did that and that was bad. And, you know, had that happened, I might have lost out on opportunities to, I think now, do a lot of good for a lot of people, and that would suck, personally, to think. But that's also, I don't want to false equivalency it. Like, that's obviously a much smaller thing than what most people are being held to consequences for.
Yeah, and for me, I don't know if you guys watch Philip DeFranco. His shows I really like. I like his podcasts. I like his takes on stuff. But Philip DeFranco, you're welcome for this ad. My 0 viewers are headed your way. But he has talked a little bit about, like, because he's mostly a YouTube celebrity, right? Like, he does like the news on YouTube. And a thing that he's talked about is, like, yes, cancel culture is a thing, but the telling part about it is that, like, how people respond to it, right? Like, I think people's first instinct a lot of times is just to, like, no, you know, like, I have never, etc. But when it comes down to it, like, people might be a lot better suited if they, like, expressed willingness to change and grow. Like, that's the problem, is people not being willing to grow and become better.
That's a really good point. I think one of the best examples of that, I've almost like rage tweeted about this, and I like helping people apologize. How when people find themselves in these situations of being, I'm not even going to use the term cancel culture, but held to the consequences of their actions as they should be.
Yes.
One of the first things that they say is, that's not me. That's not me. And how much I long for someone saying, oh yeah, no, that's me. And I'm going to work really hard every day to not be that person anymore. Like, that's the apology that I want. And that's what I would go back in time and say, like, when I was using the R word for something, to say, like, that is 100% who I was at the time. And I spent a lot of time to not be that person. So that's like, yeah, people need to apologize like that. None of this, that's not who I am bullshit. Like, that's
yes.
Yeah, I think that ties in with the overall topic of people just trying to be what they feel is a good person and not having ever had flaws or growth or anything that way.
Yeah.
Like, and that's not who anyone is.
Definitely. I agree with that. I think one thing I kind of wanted to go back to. Oh, hey, here's your envoys, Casey. Hey, that worked out.
Dang, those guys have a lot of health.
Yeah. But I guess the thing that I'm trying to say, if I can focus here while I'm trying to shoot this guy, I think that it's really important that we acknowledge when society has incentivized like bad behavior, right? Like I personally see it a lot in the history of, I'm gonna say Christendom in general, but especially in my experience with like American like Protestantism, or at least certain branches of it. That was considered like not just a religious thing, it was like cultural for a long time. And unfortunately, I think that it, like a lot of things, was used to solidify the power structure for white dudes.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, look at us.
We did a thing.
Little
Best game
dance.
Players of that match.
What do you guys think? Are we gonna do another one? Yeah. I still got a couple bounties if you guys are good.
How many more do I have to
Yeah,
do? I can find that at the thing, right?
Oh yeah,
one more
yeah.
to do
at
my
the map.
weekly.
Cool.
What do I have
Oh.
that I can actually do?
There's a seasonal challenge for gambits as well.
Oh yeah.
Is there?
Yeah,
think
it's,
I just
it's a
completed
lot.
one.
It's banking 250 motes.
Dang.
But that is cumulative, I believe, over the season.
Yeah, it seems like.
So that's cool. Sweet. Yeah, I think that I am
so
like
many bounties to try to just get 8.
I know.
Like
Before
I keep going back in and buying all the like additional bounties after each round for the few that I've completed, just because I keep getting ones that are they're not going to happen.
yeah. Like it's nice that they've started to I don't know, it seems like the pool at least gives
That'll
you
work.
some like similar ones so that you can knock multiple ones out. But I remember like 3 seasons ago, people were jokingly calling it like the season of the bounty, because it was just so much, and like it was different weapons all the time, and it would take forever to complete them. But if you guys, because I know that these cost a lot of glimmer too, there are chests throughout all of the worlds that are marked on your map that you can go explore and find, and they give you like, I think it's a couple thousand glimmer each. So
Nice.
it's just something to be aware of. I've used that before when I needed some fast cash.
They make those funny little sounds.
And then
Maybe I'm not like spending enough, but I have not once even considered glimmer as a resource.
yeah,
It's never been a limiting factor in anything I've done.
easy to make it quick. There are some big things like masterworking your equipment that will eat it up very quickly, but it's easy to refill it. So
Yeah, it seems like it might be a thing like end game,
yes,
and I just got everything to 1250, so I'm nowhere near that yet. Or I guess
That's-
right on the edge of it, but
yeah, it's not bad though.
it's apparently every piece of equipment I have has mods or something.
Yeah, yep.
Like, what?
Mods become a big part. Like I've never really found them super necessary for like just the weekly stuff that we're doing. Maybe Crucible a little bit, just because you're playing with other people who use their mods. But once you get into some of the harder activities, you can use mods to like really customize builds.
Yeah, it's like the same as enchanting or socketing your gear in WoW.
Yes,
It's something
exactly.
you don't even need to think about until you're doing raiding.
Exactly.
Either raiding or like high-end PvP.
Yep. I hate how
Or
the
you just want
knights
to flex
lock in.
and be the like level 20 guy with fully enchanted gear.
Thank you. I think that I have said most of what I think that I can say about this topic at this point. So I don't know. Do you guys have any closing statements on it that you'd like to make?
I can't think of anything else right at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
alright.
I think we had a really good in-depth discussion about it. I'm curious, so were you guys following the House Finance Committee's stuff today?
A little.
I just had it up
I had
while
it
I was
on
working.
while I was working.
Yeah. It was parts of it were very entertaining.
It really made it obvious how easy it is to talk in one of those things when you're speaking the truth, though.
Yeah, right? DFV was just so chill.
One of those
and
people who was being interviewed had a very easy time talking and could just answer the questions because he was speaking the truth.
That's so true. I found that to be really obvious as well.
It was so obvious. And it's something I would hope everybody had already known, that none of those people ever speak truth.
Right. Because why
But,
would they?
Just having it in one place, right next to each other, was telling, because that never happens.
Exactly. Well, first off, Casey, I want to say that I really appreciate this important question.
And I'm gonna talk for as long as I can before you cut me off without actually answering it, so that you use up all your time, and you can't ask me anything else. Thanks.
Yeah. Just it was impressive is the word I'm gonna use.
Already
man.
have their thing up.
Your allies invading.
Finishers, super grenades. Ugh. I need to use a different super, I guess.
Invaders here. Brace yourself.
I love it when I get a pulse rifle bounty. It just goes so fast. I'm 50%
Yeah.
done with this one already. And
Nice.
I just got it for this round.
That's awesome.
Your allies
Ugh.
but they took out 2 opponents. Now, invaders off the field. Guardian down.
All right. I'm gonna go back to some random questions to close things out, if that works for you guys.
Go look them in the eyes.
What?
So I'm gonna go back to just kind of some random questions here,
Okay.
Your allies
because I think we are at that point.
Jessie didn't join us.
She didn't. She said she was watching a reality TV show, but she said she's interested in doing it at a different time. Yeah, that's true. It was
doing two
happy hour
things.
earlier. Wait, you can do two
Yeah,
things?
I know. Not well.
I wasn't aware. I constantly try to, and I feel like I just do it really badly.
invaders back with 1 kill.
Like trying to host this show and play Destiny, for example.
Put away your shield, Mr. Deceived Knight.
Blocker to the other side.
Like, why are you bragging about how you were deceived? That's what I want to know.
Invader incoming. Hostile
I'm just gonna shoot you a few times.
portals
Yeah.
up. Go look them in the eyes.
Guessing this is the invader.
Invader down.
Haha, got him. That felt pretty good.
Free to hunt. Your invaders defeated. Bringing them back.
Oh boy. All right, Seth, what food do you really like but is a pain to eat?
Pain. Great question.
Like either the packaging, you know, like you have to like really work for it, or it's like difficult to find.
You know, Hershey's Kisses, this is random, but I found myself complaining about the fact that you have to unwrap them all. Which is the epitome of, like, not a problem that I'm just crying about. But
I get it, though. Like, something about, like, a lot of foil I find a little unsettling.
yeah.
I mean, they're crazy wasteful too.
Yeah.
Hard to eat. I guess pineapple fried rice. I love pineapple fried rice, but it can be hard to make it well.
Oh, yeah.
That's
That
also
makes
probably
sense.
just most things for me because my cooking ability is really
Well, I guarantee you, your cooking probably puts mine to shame, so...
Your invader's back. One
Oh. Our teammate just tried to sword me. Why you do this?
I was trying to
Oopsie.
save whoever that was.
I might get finisher kills.
Ow.
Someone died here. Oh, and then I died here.
A wizard killed me.
There's a lot of food going on in this one. Casey, what's the spiciest food you've ever eaten?
I don't know.
gambit's over.
You don't know.
Losing team put their primeval on ice.
Probably a pepper of some sort.
Oh, yeah. Are you one of those people that just eats peppers?
No. But I have.
Yeah.
Like, I won't snack on them, but
Sure.
they're interesting.
That's fair. I need to do one more round because I am like
Yeah, so
one
do
bounty
I.
away. So
Yeah.
cool. Remember when was it Wing Kings we went to and just like tried some of their
Yeah.
super spicy stuff? That was fun.
It was.
We should do that again when we can.
Yeah. That was fun. Those were
At some
spicy.
point. Yeah, they're still open, so that's good.
Yeah, Katie and I have ordered food from them. Actually, really, that sounds great right now.
So
It's me order
Those corn
11
nuggets are
o'clock.
so good.
Yeah,
They're always out of tots, though, every time I try to order from them.
that's real for sure.
Well, whatever.
I'm gonna do your idea and grab some bounties. Just to try and
See if you
complete
can just
one
get
more.
one to clear.
Yeah. Okay, pulse rifle it is. Oh no! I hit B, you guys. I'm so sorry.
your bee.
Hey! Seth, what would be the worst thing to hear as you are going under anesthesia before surgery?
Oh. Oh, that's
There's lots of bad things.
Yeah, but what's the worst one?
I guess I don't know, like which leg are we cutting off again? They're allergic to propofol?
Oh,
be bad.
yeah. Like, just any allergy stuff
Too late.
at all.
Yeah.
A thing that I have been curious to ask you, Seth, because I assume that you have now experienced many people who are under anesthesia. I was told, because I have IBS, which was actually fine, like it wasn't a problem at all, but they told me that like I was like just a little crazy or crazy is not the right word. I was just a little weird, but and
Yeah.
I remember waking up and like thinking that I was gonna go like hang out with my friends and stuff that night. And I just remember my mom being like, I don't think we're doing that tonight. Now, obviously, like, I know you can't and wouldn't give like specifics, but has it been your experience that people like say or do weird things when they're under?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it heavily depends on what you're using and like what. So for colonoscopies, for example, you're probably familiar with benzodiazepines because benzos are something that people use for anxiety. For something like a colonoscopy, they'll do conscious sedation. So they just give you enough benzo that you're still conscious. You just don't care.
Really?
You're having this procedure and that there's some degree of discomfort.
Yeah.
And that you're just so altered that, yeah, you become really loopy and you say goofy things. And I've had really, really interesting conversations with people, with kids. I mean, it's pretty hilarious. Kind of learn about. Another thing is like you learn how people sleep and like what people do when they sleep, because they'll try to turn on their side as they're waking up if they're side sleepers, or sometimes if it's someone who very obviously sleeps next to her husband or something like that, she might start referencing and like reaching over trying.
Aw, that's cute. It's just a part of like medical life that even though I was like kind of involved in that for a little while, I was never in procedures at all. I was either there before or after, basically. So it's really interesting to me that that's like a real thing. I always kind of assumed it was kind of just like blown up a little bit, but it sounds like it's not. Alright, KC, what's the most expensive thing that you've broken? Are you guys still there? Hello? It appears that our Discord chat may have gone down because I am trying to reconnect. Interesting.
Incoming at the depot. High-value target. Burn it down. Motes, brother. Whack the blockers.
I'd like to take this brief intermission to thank our sponsor for the show today. And that sponsor is, I don't know, like Scorch Cannons, I guess? They're fun. They're fun to grab, fun to use.
Hostiles incoming at the cabin. up to taking on the other side. Hope you're proud. Aye. Portals up. Go look 'em in the eyes. Hostiles incoming at the depot. Vader inbound. Portals up. Your allies invaded. Guarding it down.
Well, sorry that we lost the conversation there, folks, but it looks like Discord's having some issues. That said, we'll finish out this round and call it a night. As always, appreciate you tuning in for another evening of Slide at Night. You're a great audience, all 0 of you. And yeah, we'll just let it play. Have a good night, everybody.
Your enemy called up a prime evil. They kill it, they win this. Incoming at the gulch. You're close. Fill the bank, you get a prime evil. Portal's ready. Grab your gun.
You get a prime evil. You get a prime evil. Everybody gets a prime evil.
Allies invading the other side. in life never been. In life never been. In life never been. In love before. I've never been. In life never been.
All right.